Welcome to Subramani. How good are we at predicting what is going to happen in the future? So largely I can sit back and think and say, oh, I knew exactly what is going to happen. But there were 2-3 business ideas which I got, which in retrospect I am so happy that I did not pursue. I just did not anticipate the impact of technology. One of those ideas which somebody else had and which they wanted to do and I was helping them was to say, we will buy a computer and put it in your hotel in every room. You pay us whenever people use it, right? So we will give you a computer in every room. It looked very attractive, it looked very good. Some manufacturer of computers or a dealer of computers wanted to participate. He spoke to hotels, no hotel agreed, luckily for him, and that business did not take off. Another business which I thought was good was somebody was considering buying a piece of land, buying a piece of real estate in proper Mumbai, South Mumbai, and creating a fantastic tax library so that when somebody wanted something, they would come there, and there would be young chartered accountants and lawyers helping them to see which case law will help, right? Like a lawyer's help desk. With a big library, like maybe as big as the Bombay High Court library. When you dream, you can really dream big. That would have again not helped because it was not going to be sustainable thanks to the onslaught of technology. Similarly, I used to prepare project reports for hotels where the assumption was the dollar will continue to strengthen against the rupee, and according to my projections the dollar would have been about 180 rupees now. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but at least 120 rupees. That one assumption being wrong meant all the projections that I had made for say 8-10 years for hotels in Goa were completely wrong, absolutely wrong. Sorry, because of one mistake. So all the three, there is just one mistake which went wrong. One, in the first one and the second one, I did not anticipate the power of technology to be so great that all the tax libraries can be in one app which you can carry in your phone. So do people need a library? I don't know, but I'm not doing tax work now, so I don't really know whether all those ITR volumes which used to lie in our offices are of any great use now. But technology would have ensured that this project is not viable. Similarly, one assumption that the dollar will continuously strengthen against the rupee for time immemorial means all my projections were wrong. So given all this, why should I think that I will be able to predict what is going to happen in the world economy, in the US economy, in the Indian economy, and in the company in which I am buying, right? I have to get my macro right, I have to get my micro right. The problem is even there I could be wrong, I could lose money, I could be right, I could make money. That's not so bad. What is even worse is the fact that during this period when I make mistakes, I start killing myself saying, oh God, this is atrocious, what a bad decision. See, you lost money in Paytm, you bought Paytm at 2,300, now it is 540, whatever, I'm just giving you examples. So how do you handle that? How do you remove yourself from the decision if it is a single share? If it is say a Bitcoin, you bought a wrong Bitcoin, or that went fat, or they just dissolved, they just went away, and they said, okay, now for us to come back you have to pay us money. This is worse, this is rubbing salt into the wounds. So you lost my money and you want me to give you money so that you can come back. Are you for real? Is it sustainable? Right? So these are the questions that you will ask, right? So when you are when you're taking individual decisions, you stick to the decision and you find it difficult to even accept that you went wrong. So you don't even want to stand in front of the mirror and say, I made a mistake with this decision, right? It's very difficult to accept even to yourself that you made those investing decisions which were wrong. There it helps that you get a you choose mutual funds, because when a mutual fund goes up or goes down, I'm not going to pat myself or kick myself that it has done well or not done well. Somehow the level of involvement with even with an active managed fund is not very high. For example, I put some money in ICICI I think it's called Equity Opportunities Fund. I put it sometime in 2000 and it was some 5-6 rupees NAV. It's done very well. So am I saying that I was brilliant in choosing that? No, perhaps many funds, if I had entered at that stage and done a reasonable size SIP, I would have made money. I'm making money. The percentage of return doesn't matter if you have done a 1000 rupee SIP. It matters if you have done a 50,000 rupee SIP, right? So to make money, you have to, it should have done well also. But even assuming it doesn't do well, it is very easy to discontinue one SIP and start something else, saying this fund manager seems to be confused, he keeps changing his stance, changing his approach, right? So those kind of things. So when you start doing passive investments, then you say, okay, so which is the most passive investment you can do? Suppose you have an international MSCI World Index and you do SIP in that, which means the fund manager is also not deciding, he's just saying, okay, so much percentage is US, so much percentage is Europe, so much percentage is Japan, 3% of that is India. Then you don't think that anything going wrong there is your decision. You just chose to put money in an index fund, which means you believe in passive investing, and you said, if I believe in an index, I have to believe in the world index. So you did that, and now you have handled your own bias, your home bias, because otherwise what happens is all of us would have 80-90% of our money in the country of our where we are living, right? So US guys will have a US centric bias, which is called home bias, and Indians will have India centric bias, which is what happens. So if you start doing SIP with all your money in a world index fund, you don't think that you did something wrong or not sustainable. You said, okay, that is what I will do, and I will look at how my fund is working over a period of time, maybe 5-10 years, and then of course there will be some regret, saying, oh, India has done better than the world, or US has done better than the world index, so we should have put some money in US and some money. So typically what will happen is you will put some money in US, some money in the world index fund, and most of your money in India based mutual funds. Then what you're doing is you're freeing yourself from the mental torture of saying, oh, you made a mistake, this was a wrong decision, you shouldn't have put so much money in a pharma fund, you put too much money into a single stock, and that is bad. But most of the money that you made in your life was by putting in single stock, which did well. 47 to 300 is a good ride one has had in share like Zomato, right? So yes, there were opportunities available. It could have gone right, it could have gone wrong. That is not so important. What is important is admitting to yourself that it could have gone wrong and you would have taken appropriate action. If the answer is no, you're not going to do any of these things, then you're better off putting money in a mutual fund. And if you want to even reduce further involvement, in an index fund, whatever, international index fund, Indian index fund, make your choice and put it, and say, it's not my fault if the world market doesn't do well, it's not my fault, right? I'm not even saying you have to find fault somewhere, but the guilt of saying, oh God, I chose small cap, it's mid cap which is doing well, or I chose mid cap, it is small cap which is doing well, or micro cap which is doing well. Those things are difficult to handle. So when you put away money in funds, which could be Indian index funds or your any international index fund, you realize that, well, that is more sustainable, you can do it that way, and that is easier to handle. So let me put it that way, right? So that you can do something like that, and without feeling guilty or without feeling great about it. What return you got? 18%. How much you need for your goals? 8%. So you've done very well. You don't really need to look at anything else. So it's possible to do that. Though of course some advisors believe that they can add value to a customer by getting more than index. So what I call advisors alpha. Sometimes it is possible to get advisors alpha, but sometimes it is not possible. So sometimes you can make money in direct equity. I'm not getting into whether you can or you can't. Find out about your personality. Do you want to kill yourself saying, oh, I'm underperforming Naren or a Prashant Jain or any of those new Roshi Jain, anybody, you're underperforming them? That's their profession, that's what they're doing. So if you want, invest in their funds. If you don't want, invest in index funds. Don't invest in actively managed funds without seeking proper guidance and advice. That's all. Thank you.